December 26, 1991. Dear friend, I am sitting in my bedroom now after the 2-hour drive back to my house. My sister and brother were nice to each other, so I didn't have to drive. Usually, on the way home, we drive to visit my Aunt Helen's grave. It's kind of a tradition. My brother and my dad never want to go that much, but they know not to say anything because of my mom and me. My sister is kind of neutral, but she is sensitive about certain things. Every time we go to see my Aunt Helen's grave, my mom and I like to talk about something really great about her. Most years, it is about how she let me stay up and watch Saturday Night Live, and my mom smiles because she knows if she was a kid, she would have wanted to stay up and watch too. We both put flowers and sometimes a card. We just want her to know that we miss her, and we think of her, and she was special. She didn't get enough of that when she was alive, my mom always says. And like my dad, I think my mom feels guilty about it. So guilty that instead of giving her money, she gave her a home to stay in. I want you to know why my mom is guilty. I should probably tell you why, but I don't really know if I should. I have to talk about it with someone. No one in my family will ever talk about it. It's just something they don't. I'm talking about the bad thing that happened to Aunt Helen they wouldn't tell me about when I was little. Every time it comes to Christmas, it's all I can think about, deep down. It is one thing that makes me deep down sad. I will not say who. I will not say when. I will just say that my Aunt Helen was molested. I hate that word. It was done by someone who is very close to her. It was not her dad. She finally told her dad. He didn't believe her because of who it was. A friend of the family. That just made it worse. My grandma never said anything either, and the man kept coming over for visits. My Aunt Helen drank a lot. My Aunt Helen took drugs a lot. My Aunt Helen had many problems with men and boys. She was a very unhappy person most of her life. She went to hospitals all the time, all kinds of hospitals. Finally, she went to a hospital that helped her figure things out enough to try and make things normal. So she moved in with my family. She started taking classes to get a good job. She told her last bad man to leave her alone. She started losing weight without going on a diet. She took care of us so my parents could go out and drink and play board games. She let us stay up late. She was the only person other than my mom and my dad and brother and sister to buy me 2 presents. One for my birthday, one for Christmas. Even when she moved in with my family and had no money, she bought me 2 presents. They were always the best presents. On December 24th, 1983, a policeman came to the door. My Aunt Helen was in a terrible car accident. It was very snowy. The policeman told my mom that my Aunt Helen had passed away. He was a very nice man because when my mom started crying, he said that it was a very bad accident and my Aunt Helen was definitely killed instantly. In other words, there was no pain. There was no pain anymore. The policeman asked my mom to come down and identify the body. My dad was still at work. That was when I walked up with my brother and sister. It was my 7th birthday. We all wore party hats. My mom and my sister and brother wear them. My sister saw mom crying and asked what was wrong. My mom couldn't say anything. The policeman got on one knee and told us what happened. My brother and sister cried, but I didn't. I knew that the policeman had made a mistake. My mom asked my brother and sister to take care of me and left with the policeman. I think we watched TV. I don't think I really remember. My dad came home before my mom. Why the long faces? We told him. He did not cry. He asked if we were okay. My brother and sister said no. I said yes. The policeman just made a mistake. It is very snowy. He probably couldn't see. My mom came home. She was crying. She looked at my dad and nodded. My dad held her. That's when I figured out that the policeman didn't make a mistake. I don't really know what happened next, and I never really asked. I just remember going to the hospital. I remember sitting in a room with bright lights. I remember a doctor asking me questions. I remember telling him how Aunt Helen was the only one who hugged me. I remember seeing my family on Christmas Day in a waiting room. I remember not being allowed to go to the funeral. I remember never saying goodbye to my Aunt Helen. I don't know how long I kept going to the doctor. I don't remember how long they kept me out of school. It was a long time. I know that much. All I remember is the day I started getting better, because I remembered the last thing my Aunt Helen said just before she left to drive in the snow. She wrapped herself in a coat. I handed her the car keys because I was always the one who could find them. I asked Aunt Helen where she was going. She told me that it was a secret. I kept bugging my Aunt Helen, which she loved. She loved the way I would keep asking her questions. She finally shook her head, smiled, and whispered in my ear, "I'm going to buy your birthday present." That was the last time I ever saw her. I like to think my Aunt Helen would now have that good job she was studying for. I like to think she would have met a good man. I like to think she would have lost the weight she always wanted to lose without dieting. Despite everything my mom and doctor and dad have said to me about blame, I can't stop thinking what I know. And I know that my Aunt Helen would still be alive today if she just bought me one present like everybody else. She would be alive if I were born on a day that didn't snow. I would do anything to make this go away. I miss her terribly. I have to stop writing now because I'm too sad. Love always, Charlie.